Hello, dear students. Today I am going to just deal with the topic Chaucer and his age. Students, Geoffrey Chaucer was belonging to 14th century and so much dominating figure in English literature Geoffrey Chaucer was that throughout the age, throughout the 14th century, if anybody asks कि this age is known for, so this age is known for only Geoffrey Chaucer, especially in the field of literature. Students, Geoffrey Chaucer was born in 1340 and he was died in 1400. Students, he is so dominating figure in the field of literature and in the field of development of English literature that he is called father of English poetry, and not only the father of English poetry but he is also called the father of English literature. His age, 14th century, I mean to say, the age which has been represented by Geoffrey Chaucer, this was an age of so many powers and so many disturbances. He has witnessed three kings in his life. In the reign of Edward III, he was born, and he has survived most of his life in the reign of Richard II, and when he died it was the ruling of Henry IV. Dear students, he is the true representative of his age. Although he was very near to kings, but there was no effect of the relation of kings over him. He is totally free from all kinds of biasness in his writings. But all these things will be just discussed later on. But here I want to add that the age of Chaucer, rather we can say that the age 14th century has witnessed so many incidents which has decided the fate of the future. Students, in 14th century, when Geoffrey Chaucer was there in active form, students, this century has witnessed 100 year of war. 100 year of war is very important incident in the history of England. It was a long expanded, long just extended war in between England and France. Actually, I want to add here not only its name, but I want to just tell you what was its reason. Actually, when Edward III was ruling in England, to the very same time in France, Charles IV was ruling. But when Charles IV died in France, तो mother of Edward III, she has proposed that Edward III, why not he should rule over France also. Actually, the name of mother was Isabella, and she was the sister of Charles IV. So she said that there is a blood relation between Edward III and Charles IV. So why not he should rule over there? And one thing is remarkable here that at that time Edward III was only 15 years of age. So when Frenchmen heard it, that by the power Isabella is just proposing that Edward III will rule over France also, it was too much for Frenchmen. And this was the major reason that in 1337 A war was started in between France and England. Students, this war has not a very short time war, but it has gone through 116 year. It was ended, and the dispute which was created by Isabella, by his advice, by his opinion, its solution just took 116 year, and this war was ended in 1453. This has influenced this age very much. And dear students, during this war, I want to just mention here that during this war, once Geoffrey Chaucer himself was arrested by French army, and so much near Geoffrey Chaucer was to the King of England that King of England has given 16 pound to French to just make him free from. You can just understand the value of France, and you can just understand the value of Geoffrey Chaucer as well for the England. Students, the next very important event of this age was Black Death. Black Death has, students, I think you have heard the name of Black Death. This is not less than uh, just like this epidemic condition, Corona. So this was also very epidemic, a very dangerous kind of disease, Mahamari that you can say. It was a Mahamari, and half of the population was England just died. Half of the population was just swept away by this Black Death. It took place in 1348 when Geoffrey Chaucer was only 8 years of age. Students, this uh, event, rather not event, but this we can say that this epidemic condition, this Black Death, has influenced the history of England. Half of the population was washed away, and its impact became so that the price of the labor rose and the price of bread fall. In several directions, only anarchy and exploitation has taken place in England because over taxation was made over the men there, students, and this extra taxation because of Black Death, which has resulted in, it has just resulted in the form of peasant revolt. And I want to remind you, students, that this Black Death was so dangerous that it has not taken place only in 1348, but it has came again and again in England. It has just, you can say that, given its presence in 1360 also, not only in 1360, again in 1365, again in 1367, and in 1370 also. So its impact, especially in 1362, again in 1367, and in 1370, again three times it has attacked in England, and it has just crushed the backbone of England and the peasants as well. A student, its impact just resulted into the form of a peasant revolt which took place in 1381. Students, this is another very important just incident which took place in England, and when in several direction only indiscipline was there, anarchy was there, exploitation was there, lawlessness was there in several direction. So in the leadership of Jack Straw, Jack Straw was a revolutionist. Jack Straw, John Ball was also there. White Taylor was also there. So they are the main heroes of, main leaders of this peasant revolt, and they have revolted against the king. I want to remind you that at that time Richard II was the ruler in England. Students, by the treachery, uh, by following the wrong way, dishonest way, Richard II had just smothered this peasant revolt. First of all, I want to say you, students, I have studied that first of all, the demand what the peasants had made there, that has been accepted by the king, Richard II. And when this demand was accepted, the peasants which were in a group, they have dispersed. And when they have dispersed, so one by one, all were killed. And by this treachery, the peasant revolt was just suppressed. Students, this was very important event that you should know, and it took place, I want to again say you that it took place in 1381. After that, Lollard movement is also very important movement in the history of England. Lollard movement was just led by Wycliffe, I want to say you that Wycliffe is the morning star of reformation. He has started reformation, we can say. Students, the followers of Wycliffe were called Lollards, and he had just first time just raised his voice against the corruption of churches, and first time he has translated the Bible from Latin into English. And later on I will discuss over that this was the rise of prose in English literature. First time when Wycliffe has just translated Bible from Italian language to English language. And other revolutionists like Langland and Grover, they have also supported this Lollard movement, and it was always led by John Wycliffe. So you are supposed to have always in your mind the name of John Wycliffe, because his importance and his role can never be forgotten in the history of England. Dear students, these were the main events. After that, John Grover's role can never be forgotten. He is also very remarkable. The translation of Bible can never be forgotten. So all these things has taken place in the reign of, rather we can say in the period of Geoffrey Chaucer in 14th century. Now, dear students, after this social and political condition discussion, I want to just move you to the literature of 14th century. The literature of 14th century was moved around only three men, because this was an age of poetry. Students, this was an age of poetry, and in the field of poetry, Geoffrey Chaucer, William Langland, and John Grover, these three writers were there who had just influenced the English literature in 14th century. So I want to just say you that in the next video I will tell you about the literature of 14th century and how Geoffrey Chaucer has influenced the literature of 14th century. So students, I think you have understood the 14th century and the age of Chaucer in brief. I hope you all have understood it, and thank you very much.